You know, I have every faith that Troy Berry, the Sheriff of Charles County, is going to do those things if there is a wound, to heal whatever needs to be healed here in Charles County. But my sense of history makes me want to say thank God for camera phones.
Yes.
And can I get an amen to that? You know, I have been doing this for quite a while. I started in another jurisdiction. And I will tell you, when I was up there in that jurisdiction, police officers would tell prosecutors every now and then, hey, don't worry about prosecuting this particular gentleman. Street justice was done. And I think we all know what that means. Is that blatant? You know, the camera phones are here, but it does not mean that what we've seen in Ferguson, Staten Island, South Carolina, Baltimore hasn't been going on for 5 years, 10 years, decades, half a century, a century. It has been going on. We are just now getting to see it. We are just now in 2015, 14, 15. I guess it's similar to back in the 60s, where guess what, all the folks who are up in the north, nice and cozy, hearing about all this stuff that's going on down south, finally saw it on the TV. You know, there was a time when, well, okay, let me back up here and keep it real for a second. From a law enforcement standpoint, and as citizens, you should know this. People who are charged with crimes, they lie about what the police did to them sometimes, okay? Okay? If not a lot of the time, all right? Because they think that's going to help them get out of their case, all right? And as a prosecutor, I will tell you, and I think most police officers feel the same way. We got no problem wearing body cameras. We got no problem videotaping confessions or anything like that. You want to know why? Because it prevents people from lying on them, okay? And again, what I said earlier, you know, the Fergusons and all this stuff there, the very, very, very small minority of the millions of contacts police have with citizens every single day in this country, right? Very small, but one is too much. I spoke to the attorney who's representing the Freddie Gray family on Thursday, and it's a mystery. They don't know, still don't know, and that's a problem. That's why we're having violence up there. Last night, from what I understand, okay? We are getting to a point where the trust just is totally lacking. And if you can't provide answers, it looks like a cover-up. The answers need to come more quickly. The answers need to come more quickly. But we cannot, and I know I'm talking long here, but it's a very important topic too. Because, you know, prosecutors in this country, I'm going to say it, as a whole, we haven't been able to hold police officers accountable historically for wrongdoing. The whole host of reasons for that. But prosecutors have fallen down on the job too. Okay? They have. And that needs to change, and it's going to change. I heard Elijah Cummings say yesterday or the day before that this issue is a civil rights issue for this generation, especially for people of color. Especially for people of color. And I hope everybody gets on board with this issue. Race is an issue in it. You cannot look at the numbers. The numbers don't mean everything. But you can't look at the numbers and say, no, this is some type of race neutral, whatever. Unfortunately, you know, you got discretionary police action, non-discretionary. Non-discretionary is 911 calls and, hey, somebody's getting robbed, you got to show up. Whoever's involved in that, they're involved in it. You know, you don't have any discretion who you deal with. Traffic stops. I mean, honestly, how many traffic violations does a police officer see every single day? And of those, how many of the people does he really stop? That's discretionary. Okay, I decided to get engaged in that. And unfortunately, the stats show over and over and over again that African Americans and Hispanics are stopped much more often. And let me say this to you. You know, when you're only stopping a certain group, is it any wonder that that group's going to predominate in the jail? I mean, it's pretty simple, right? And that is an issue, that's a cultural thing, that's a historic thing, that is going to take time to deal with. But it's never going to get dealt with unless we keep having these forums, And you all, again, I know I'm putting a lot on you, okay? But the public keeps the movement, if we've got that going. That's what needs to happen. What happened to Freddie Gray is ridiculous. We don't know exactly what happened, but obviously it's bad. Certainly the young man up in Staten Island who was choked to death. And of course the man down in South Carolina. And the problem is we're not seeing the consequences. Perhaps we finally will. But guess what? You know, Rodney King said, can't we all get along 20 years ago? Right? And people are still saying it. We're still having Rodney Kings in this country, and it's time that it stops.